Previously on 4624. The hardest part was realizing that, I didn't know when I was going to ever go back home. It's nothing like your own mom or dad taking care of you. Nobody wants to be somewhere where they're not wanted. So I told my dad, y'all don't want me. You already got your own family. I want to go back to foster care. I went from being sad because I wasn't in the home to being angry. Like, I don't care. I hate my family. They hate me. I just felt like, damn, I'm out here in this world on my own.
You can hide in a big old house and everything, but that hurt. What hurt is hurt. Yeah. And the ones that hurt us the most are the ones we love the most. Yeah. Yeah. Always, man. Always.
4624. We had some good times too, though. I can't just say it was all bad. Seemed like a long time ago, 4624. Let me take you down this road. I just want my story told. I just want to break the mold. Trauma healing unfold. Seemed like a long time ago, 4624. Let me take you down this road. I just want my story told. I just want to break the mold. Trauma healing unfold. It was me, my pops and my mama, my little sis in a 3-bedroom, too bad. The house we rich.
What's up, sis?
Oh my gosh. Here we are.
Man, we almost thought this wasn't going to happen.
Oh my God. It is a miracle.
Man, that's God.
At the perfect season. It's the miracle.
Yeah.
Coming out of the holidays, out of Christmas and everything in this new year now. It's perfect.
So let's talk to him about what happened. So we had a phone call the other day, and we were talking through some creative things in regards to the show.
Right.
We weren't on the same page, and some other things came out. Just like with any family, we're still human. We're still family. We're still healing from here.
We are. We embody it. Like, we wish it was just a title.
Yeah,
but
we do.
We're in it.
So some words were exchanged. It got heated. Phone call got hung up. Then called back.
Let's be clear. Who hung up, though?
Me. I hung up because the voices got escalated. So I was like, oh,
who voice escalated first?
It probably was me.
You think it was?
Me. I don't know.
We need to ask Phyllis.
I think it was at the same time because I said, you know what? I don't even want to do this.
If it's so many rules.
Right.
You said, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And I said, well, whatever then.
And I think that right there, I was like, whatever. But I'm the one who said it. And let me tell you why I said it.
Right.
Every time I walk through my past,
that's true,
in the childhood and what happened in 4624, it's almost like it feels like it takes a piece of me. It takes me back. It's a reminder of what I feel. Some people failed me.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then it reminds me of the pain and the hurt that I've been trying to live and run past.
Right.
And it just messes me up. I ain't gonna lie. That's why I apologize to the subscribers. I haven't really chimed in on Substack that much because I was like, even though we were doing this, I was like, man, I get the concept. I'm feeling it, but I'm not at the same time. Like, you have to be selfless to do something like this.
Yeah.
I have to go through the pain because we're trying to help other people and give them hope so they can get through their pain.
Right.
But I have to relive that pain.
We do. We are the first partakers of what we say we are helping get to other people. I know just in doing trauma healing ministry, you always have to go through the healing group first. And some people are like, oh, I'm just coming. I'm here to help people. I'm ready to get out there and make a difference and help come alongside people as they process in their pain. But 10 out of 10 times they'll say, that is great. But first, like Dad would say, let's turn the camera on you. Yeah. Let's have you go through the healing group. And I feel like anytime we do anything with 4624, we are going to be the first partakers of what it is that we are saying we're trying to get to other people. And sometimes we just don't know how it's going to come out.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just
That call. And if you want to hear some of that call, quick promotional note. Become a paid subscriber to 4624, simply because some of the nature of some of the calls they're so sensitive. And I did understand later that night. We were quick to reconcile, really, because I know you tried to call me. I called you the next day, and we are both committed to what we're doing here, the healing journey.
Yeah.
Also, we understand that the details, because I think I said something about having people in all the many details of that. I don't know how helpful that is just to general public, but I had to recognize those many details, many mean something to the person who's sharing their story.
Yeah. You never know who you want to reach,
Right.
who you're going to reach, and you don't want to diminish that to people that may need that. Something else that I was torn on too. It's been a while since we recorded the first 2 episodes.
Right.
We got different clothes. It was warm then, and now we got on
Right.
hoodies and stuff.
New season.
So I was looking at it, and everything that we said was true. So there was nothing fake about
Right.
that. But it seemed like I was in La La Land, like I had Stockholm syndrome, because we were talking about Pops, and we was talking about how great he was and all that. But what happened wasn't great.
No, it
You know,
was
so
not.
so it didn't sit well with me, because it was like, yeah, and he was. I think we were just trying to paint the picture because it didn't start that way, so people can understand that
Right.
sometimes mental health and childhood trauma, it follows you even when you try to fake it to make it. It ain't gone.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So that's the picture that we were painting. But I don't want the audience to get confused and think that it was all cool in the gang and that we talked all the time and all that. No.
Yeah.
When I left that house at 10 years old, it was hell for me.
Yeah.
I didn't know. It was a lot of uncertainty. Nobody helping with homework. Nobody helping with any type of issues I had. I basically was like an extra child out there to anybody's family. And I was left wide open. And that hurt. It hurt that I was in the same city as my family and nobody came and got me.
Right.
You know what I mean? I always had hopes and wishes that somebody came and got me, but nobody came. I know Mom went to the classes, but she was still with Pops.
Yeah.
So she had to either leave altogether, which she eventually did, or if she stayed, he would have had to take the classes. And from my understanding, he said he wasn't going to take no classes because he didn't feel like he did anything wrong.
Right.
So that it hurt me that nobody cared enough to come get me. You know what I'm saying? And like life moved on. So, you know, it's a lot of things that went down as a result of me leaving that nobody really knows, probably but Phyllis. You know what I mean? And that's where the anger comes in. And I just want to make sure that I ain't sitting up here saying, yeah, but he was hurt too. Yeah, he was hurt. I'm not saying that he wasn't hurt.
Right.
But he left, and a lot of people hurt as well, still dealing with that pain.
Right. And that's the basis or the foundation of what we're here to talk about and walk through, is how that pain continues to affect us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't think in our first, looking back on us first stepping out with this, first of all, it was a vision realized. We had talked about this for a year.
Yeah.
And we're coming on, we're introducing ourselves. And likewise, you set a story up. But I think what we learned, or what we are learning, is that there are layers to this. So we may look back at this and say, I should have just said this, or I need to just stand flat-footed and tell this. There are layers. We are peeling the onion back.
Yeah.
We're peeling back the various layers, and that's why healing is not linear. We read all these things, but now we're going through it. But it's not linear. It's not like a straight line. You know, there's up, down, circles, all these kind of things. But what I think we're experiencing in real time, not from a clinical perspective, because we are just real people.
Right.
Not clinicians or psychologists and things like that. That's why I'm excited this new year, new season, that we will have people on who bring that to the table. But what we bring is our real story,
Yeah.
our real truth, and how it's being experienced.
Yeah.
And that phone call was real.
It was real. One of the other things that stood out to me was I was like, but you choosing to ride, you roll with the abuser. You roll with the
my
abuser.
God,
So it
David.
wasn't just aimed at you. I'm venting and getting it out for everybody else that stayed. And I left and nobody came and got me. And you told me, look, just because you look like my dad, I talk like him. And
Real.
it's not me. I can't help that. I was 4 years old.
And I was like, I didn't really even have language like that to be able to say anything. I'm a 4-year-old at the time. Our age difference is 6 years. But what that conversation did for me, it was so necessary because we'd always had this, I would say, an underlying tension because you received direct physical abuse while I was never hit directly.
Yeah.
So sometimes you can begin to equate, you weren't really abused, so how, you could question, how are you really affected? And I feel like those things needed to come to the top.
Yeah.
Because riding with the abuser seems like somebody committed a crime and you just rolling. Yeah, I'm sorry
Nah.
that happened. No, I mean,
Yeah.
in a visual.
Right. But what I meant by that wasn't that. What I meant by that is when I left the household, it's known in the family that I was forbidden to even come to the house.
Right.
I was called out as Judas, like Judas betrayed Jesus. I betrayed the family because I told a friend and they called the police and HRS got involved. So where that came from is, to me, in my mind, everybody that stayed was under his jurisdiction and was forbidden to even really talk to me, see me. I was just an outcast. Like, we not messing with him no more.
Right.
So that's what I meant. But however, you being a child, what are you supposed to do? You got to do whatever the authorities or your parents are telling you.
Right.
And you shared something with me. You was like, man, I want to stay in his good graces because I don't want him to make me disappear like they made my brother
Right.
disappear.
It was all safety. Because when you think about people who don't have a language, they feel everything. And that's what we do as young children. They feel it. Like, argue in front of young children, they will shut down and do that. They can't say stop. They might try, but they feel all that.
Yeah.
So my thing was to get in a space of keeping myself safe. I saw how extreme that this could go with you being taken from the home. I don't know if I was in the hallway, but I saw what was going on when you were being removed.
Yeah.
So you begin to go into a safety mode. It's a response to trauma experience. I got to keep myself safe. You're high stress. You're all these things you're experiencing. So I think what I wanted to get out too, and that came out on the call, I think I also said on the call, you think it's just your story.
Yeah. I said, listen, like, I don't feel like doing it. It's my story. And you was like, that's how you carrying it. And
Yep.
in my mind, just being real, I'm like, I'm the one that got hit and was removed. You still stayed. Nothing changed
That's
for
it.
you except your brother wasn't in the house. You still went to your room. You still had the Raggedy Ann picture,
Yeah.
Raggedy Ann picture on the wall. My picture was Raggedy Andy on the wall,
Right.
but I wasn't in the bed. I wasn't in the house anymore. So to me, I was like out in the wilderness, but you still safe. And to me, I was like, dang, it's not the same
Right.
comparison.
It doesn't equate.
Right.
Like, mine carries weight from your perspective.
Right.
And this is lightweight because you still were in there. You weren't a direct hit. You still were. But there's always effects for anybody who's involved. There are emotional effects. There's stress. There's behaviors that you adopt and carry into your later life, into your family structure that are unhealthy. Even though I know what I saw and I know not to replicate what I saw, But the emotion, the intensity, the aggression, the stressful nature that you put everybody under, I embodied that.
Yeah.
Because I had to absorb that consistently being under that in the home.
You know what helps me realize your point?
I hope that makes sense.
No, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, Phyllis helps me look at your perspective.
Right.
The reason why I say that is she's also a child of childhood trauma. And she was in a home where her father abused her mother. She wasn't hit or abused, but her mother was. But she stayed in the house. The only difference between Phyllis and their family is I was removed from the home.
Yeah.
But she stayed until she graduated. So to your point, even though she saw her mama be abused and was saving her mama and had to rescue her and was put in that situation, even though she wasn't the one that was abused, she saw it.
Yep.
And from seeing that, it reshapes your mind as a child. And it's not really fair to a child, whether you're the one that's abused or you watching your loved ones. Think about this for a minute. You love your mama, right?
Of course.
And you love your daddy. And you love your brother.
Yes.
But you see them fighting or being beaten. What does that do to a person's heart? What is that? You know what I mean? Because
tears it apart.
You're supposed to go home, and no matter what's going on out here in the world, when you go home, you're loved. Somebody picking at you in school, whatever's going on out there, you don't care. I'm going home. I'm going to tell my mama.
Right. It's
I'm
the
going to tell
place
my
to
dad.
build back up. Yeah.
But when you see daddy turning against mama and you love both and you want to pick sides, you can't pick sides. It's just wrong. And you're witnessing it. It's just inhumane. It's toxic at its highest level. It's never good. And unfortunately, it doesn't stop there when you leave the house.
No.
Not meaning that you're going to be abusive in that way, but you feel different. Your emotions are different. You're desensitized. You know what I mean? You might go through a situation where you think you're supposed to cry. You don't cry. Tears don't come.
Right.
They don't come down. You want them to. You can see the same thing, somebody getting hit by a car or whatever, and you're like, oh. Like you feel like, dang, I feel bad for them. But you don't, it's like your feelings are removed, so you have to try harder to have emotions.
Yeah.
You're stuck.
It shuts you down, and that's why we keep saying healing from here, because you still are in the present.
Yeah.
So if you're shut down by the past, where are you really? And that's where we came up, we said on here, I cannot solve my past. And I think out of that phone conversation, that really helped me, because I was finally able to say, look, and I said it forcefully because that's just how it was coming. There was nothing I could do. I was 4. And then after that, 5, 6, 7, I'm young. I wasn't the parent. It was nothing I could do. And that wasn't as much for you as it was for me, because what I carried all these years was wondering what I could have done. But I cannot solve my past.
But look at the work you put in now. And
Healing from here.
That's the reason why you're going hard now.
Right.
So on camera, I can apologize to you. It's not fair to you. It had to get out.
Yeah.
But it's not fair for me to say that you weren't affected as much as me. Everybody, we all were affected, and we all didn't ask for that to happen. So do you think that...
And I'm sorry, too. I immediately go to defensive. Let's try to choose healing more so than just defense or the default.
Yeah.
And so I apologize for that. And I'm just so glad we're here.
Yeah, me too, because it almost wasn't going to happen. I was like, man, I don't even see why I'm telling all my business to people out in the world. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm good. I feel like I'm pretty successful. I feel it's financial goals I've tried to attain. I've hit those beyond, hit those. And, you know, I've been married 34 years. So I'm like, dang, why do you need to do that? I'm not looking for attention.
Right.
I'm good.
Yeah. So why are we going why I even questioned the title. I'm like, why did you even put 4624? Why couldn't you just be the Healing from Here community?
Yeah.
But
well, that's where it started.
It's important
Absolutely.
to know that was foundational. But this is now, and we cannot solve our past.
Absolutely.
That's water under the bridge. And we have people ask us that in the comments, family members, like, you're bringing up somebody who has passed away. And I can't wait till we get someone on who can talk more about when you dig into your story. You just don't, honestly, you're not scared or anything, but you don't feel a clearance sometimes to speak at 100% out of respect for people who are still here. We just have to be honest about that. So it's not you shuddering down and, oh my God, you just scared. You should just come out. Things have a timing. And we're trying to roll with God in what we're doing. We want to put that out there too. We're trying not to just be of ourselves. So we weren't trying to disgrace Dad or anything like that. Let me get a drink on that. Go ahead.
So I do feel as though we handle this with kid gloves because of family members that we love and because of the memory, and he has passed on. But what I will say is, just because a person has passed on doesn't mean that they ain't caused a lot of hell when he was here.
Real.
You know what I mean? So we can't
that
hold
continues
up. Yeah, that we're still trying to
process,
heal from.
Yeah.
Family members, love the family members and all, but if any family member was aware of that, I know of one that we tried to stop, Uncle Coby. I'm going to just call it out.
Yeah, he was.
And I don't know conversations that were had with anybody else in the family.
But he was a voice of consistent truth and reason.
But if you
to our dad every single time, like,
if you're a family member, and that's not just with our family,
right?
And you see wrong happening, and you just look, oh, it ain't my business. You part of the problem,
real, because
they might listen to you, or they gonna listen to you more than they would the immediate family, and that might be. Sometimes you got to be chin-check, like, hey man, don't handle her like that. Don't do them. Why you doing that, man?
Right.
You know, that's how Uncle Coby was, right? So it's like, if you got something to say now, why you ain't say it then? And that's how I feel. Like, and I'm not scared, and I'm not running from nothing. I'm not trying to bash anybody. It's just as embarrassing to me as it may be to you or to the family. I wish we had a better story to tell.
Right.
I really do. I know I keep on saying that, but give me a better story to tell. I'm just telling you what's going on and how it affected me now.
Better story to tell of our past.
Correct.
Because we have a better story that is being told now.
Correct. But how do you think this would have went down if I would have been in somebody's prison? You would have been doing this from jail.
Right. There are so many effects. There are so many really examples that all we can say is God's hand was on you.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to oversimplify, or somebody who might be out there like, yeah, okay, but he made the choice not to. You did make choices that kept you on a path to where you are now.
Yeah.
But I do believe that you were divinely protected along the way, because there was just so many variables. And I do want to say this about the family. It doesn't go unnoticed, because we are now in 40s and 50s. And we remember Uncle Coby.
Yeah.
We were kids. So you thinking, oh, it's going to fall on deaf ears. What can I do to stop it? We remember. As we're carrying our healing forward, you remember, it does matter. It does make a difference to stand up and say something, even if it's not received, even if they don't seem that they're changing. It does matter. It does matter when a child comes to you and say, oh, I was touched or whatever. It does matter that you say that was wrong. That doesn't need to happen again. I'm going to protect you, because kids become adults.
And stop justifying it. So a lot of times we justify and we reshape the narrative based on the story that we have. Notice I said story that we have in our head. Tell the truth. Shame the devil. Remember that?
Right.
Uncle Johnny is a little playful and he get a little juice in him, and
He's not
sometimes
playful.
he
He's
can't
a
control
predator.
it. He can't control it. That's how your uncle is.
He's a predator. Let's all make that clear and keep our young girls or young boys away from predators. That's just an example.
Yeah.
And we don't have an Uncle Johnny for
Nah,
those who
nah,
might
nah.
have just
I
tuned
got
in.
uncle. He ain't
Yeah.
with us no more. But yeah,
But you
just-
feel me?
Or stop flipping it and gaslighting, asking the girl, "Oh well, then what did you have? What did you do to him to make
Oh
him
my
be
God.
like that?"
So sad.
That's why people don't come forward.
Yeah.
That's why they get on drugs. They alcoholics. They promiscuous. So whatever. They just finding other ways to try to relieve themselves because nobody believes them.
And stop the other side of Me Too. I don't mean Me Too like I feel your pain, but the Me Too, what happened to Me Too? I'm all right. So just go on now. No, just because you didn't address it
Right.
doesn't mean that I shouldn't.
Yeah.
Don't use like your story of you not being in a situation where you could address it or you being in a situation where you weren't heard to cause me to diminish my story. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
And so I think it's just very important that,
And we're going to talk. I know we're running out of time now on this episode.
Yeah.
But we're going to have a part 2.
right.
But I wanted to talk to you about, I kept on saying you roll with the abuser and all that, and some stuff came out of you, and you were like, man, I always get blamed.
Oh, that's without a doubt.
So
That's at 100%.
we're going to talk about how you feel like you got blamed and how
Let's.
sometimes people in the family, just because they might look like an individual, they may act like them, how they get blamed and accused. That go down to some women or whatever may have a baby daddy or ex-husband, and their child look like the ex-husband or act like them, and then they conveying their anger toward that person,
That's right.
toward the child, which is not right. So let's talk about that, and we're going to talk about some other things.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
It's time. I told you, it seems as though I always, because it's a comfort, find myself being the interviewer.
Yeah.
It's a comfort and a gift, but it's a challenge too, because there's a story that I have to tell. This
Yeah.
story is a shared experience.
Absolutely.
We have our own stories,
Yeah.
but it's a shared experience.
Absolutely.
For
And we
sure.
always said, if we going to do this, we got to do it right
And together.
together.
Yeah. And right, we're getting it along the way. So just roll with us.
Yeah.
We healing from here.
This is my story. What's your story? Turn the camera on you and tell your story. He brought you to it, can bring you through it. He had his hands on my life, and God want me to do it.